Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Poz, with a very special guest. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. He's a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He is known as DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. DDP, how you doing today, sir?
I did not know I was going to be talking to another Jersey boy, man. Spent
Yeah.
a lot of time in your neck of the woods, Asbury Park. Matter of fact, I was just doing the Bam Bigelow, the Dark Side,
Yeah.
but I gave him pretty much all positive stuff, as you can imagine.
Yep.
But I knew Bam since he was like 16. I knew of him originally back when he was wrestling for Neptune High School. And I mean, he was the beast from the East back then. And there were kids that literally were supposed to face him and literally forfeited. Understandable though, right? I can remember Bammer. I met him in the Quack, which was between Stone Pony and what's the name of that club that's on the corner there, like right up from the Stone Pony? What's the name of that place now?
Is it a House of Independence? Is that what it is now, or is
it's like a restaurant club type thing. It's a pretty big place. Or whatever it is, in between those two bars was a little little shot and beer, one small bar. And if you were walking to the Pony, or you're walking from the Pony to Xanadu in the early '80s, you stopped at the Quack and had a shot. And that's where I ran into Bam Bigelow. And he was probably just 18 at the time. And, but I think by that time, he was already legendary. I think he was running with the Breed, one of the biker gang at that time. And I can remember, we became buddies, at the Quack. And then he came in my club, which was a pretty classy club at the time. And he walked in with a few of the other biker members, and I came sliding up behind him, put my arm around him. I was like, "Hey, Bammer, no trouble in here tonight, right?" He goes, "Oh, come on, Paige, I wouldn't do that to you." And that was the night that we really started talking about wrestling. And it turned out, of course, I mean, he looked like a wrestler, we talked about our love of wrestling, and I told him that I had just tried it. And I'd spent like 3 months, training with a guy named Tito Torres. And the only reason I got that connection was because we went to Asbury Park Convention Center, me and my buddy Johnny Shipley. And I'll never forget going around the outside of the convention center, because the boys would come outside because there's no way seeing that building. And I seen Greg the Hammer Valentine, and I'm like, "Hey, Hammer!" I'm down on the beach. He's up in the the balcony. I'm like, "How do I get into wrestling?" Fuck off. He swears he didn't do that, but he did that, because I was like, "Oh my God, Greg Hammer told me to fuck off, man." So Shipley and I were getting ready to leave. The main event is Gorilla Monsoon. And this is just so 1979, 1978. And Gorilla's got his one-piece leotard on, And when the match is over, when he pins a dude, he rolls to the apron, goes to the floor. His bag is right there. So he literally leaves with the people. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's leaving with the people. Let's ask him." So we pestered him all the way to the car. "How do we get into wrestling? Help us out. Come on, Gorilla. Come on. Help us out. We really want to do this." And he gave me a name of Tito Torres. And Tito Torres was an enhancement or a job guy back then. But Tito also was, Puerto Rican. So he was pretty big over in Puerto Rico. And he was wrestling, trying to get a break. So he was teaching people, barely spoke any English. I'd have to ask him over and over again, say what? Like, grab my leg. Like, grab my leg. Okay. And like I had like maybe we went up Monday and Wednesday to train in Jersey City, me and my buddy Shipley, and and what ended up happening was I ended up working like 3 matches. And on my 3rd match, and I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, I'm as green as grass. You can't learn anything 1 or 2 days a week. But he put me on this card up in Canada for Crybaby Canada, and I hurt my knee. And the same knee I got hit by a car was when I was a kid. And what ended up happening, he ended up, he wanted to continue booking me, but I hurt my knee, so I had to take a month off. I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll club, and I sort of got drifted away from the dream of wrestling, the booze, the broads, and the party, and eventually would end up in Asbury Park with that club. I'm trying to find here it is. Let me look at it. A buddy, my brother-in-law, Paul, had some guy send him this. Because remember, I did 3 matches. That was it. And somebody sent this to Paul. You know how they have the old they put them in leaf sleeve, programs that they would give to people.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Look at this card. 1979, December, and it's
wow,
handsome Dallas Page. And look who's headlining. Tito Torres.
The champ, yes, yeah.
Like what crazy is that? And then I'm doing a movie with Don Johnson that just got released a few months ago called High Heat. And while I was in catering, one of the guys who was working as a grip said, "Hey, Diamond, did you ever hear Tito Torres?" And I never heard another person mention his name my entire life.
Yeah.
And I look at him, I go, "Tito Torres?" He goes, "Yeah, he was a wrestler. He was my grandpa." And I pulled out my phone and I showed him that card. I go, "You mean this Tito Torres?" I mean, awesome. Dude, that was crazy. So that guy got me that's right. Tried it, didn't work out, and then would come back to it, back in 1980, I guess 88, when I just started doing AWA. And that was just a series of things that happened. Back to the story with Bam Bam, though. This night we about that. And I told Bammer about how I tried. And then later, years later, wasn't that far later, I was flicking the channels and somehow WCCW came up, Texas, where he was playing a Russian. And I'm like, holy shit, Bam Bam's doing it. Oh my God. And it wasn't long before he was working with Hulk and getting the monster push. And I was like, oh my God. And we had lost touch with phone numbers and shit by that time. But he found me when he saw that I was wrestling. He found out my number and he called me and he was like, "Dude, you're doing it again." And then later, I would bring him into WCW when I was one of the top guys to when we did the triad tag. So it was pretty magical getting to be one of your Jersey boys and talking shit about it. And neither one of us are doing it. And we both become two, like that son of a bitch should be in the Hall of Fame. Like he's not, it pisses me off. Because how the hell do you not put Bam Bam Bigelow in the damn Hall of Fame? He should have been in 10 years ago, So hopefully, at least, at some point they're going to do it.
To me, he's a god in this country. I know if I say I'm from Asbury, everyone's like, "Ooh, Bam Bam Bigelow territory." Like that's the first name people think of when you think of Asbury Park, New Jersey. I love that.
Yeah, well, he always said he was from Asbury, even though he was from Neptune. Because he really was an Asbury dude. I always used to say the Jersey Shore because I was all over the shore, you know, and I really felt like it included everybody, you know.
My buddy Dave lives in Point Pleasant. I always said the home of DDP, Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great place to live as a kid growing up. As an adult, I take it or leave it because I hate the politics of Jersey. I hate politics. I love it when people go, so DDP, what are you, a Republican or Democrat? I said, I think you both suck.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
And what's really funny, staunch Republicans, and very rarely do I find a Democrat who gets pissed off. You know, most of them are like, yeah, you're right. I don't know how you defend either when you're going one against the other, it's different. But when you're going, you both suck, you do.
Yeah.
You know, the system doesn't work. It's set up for the big money. I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats. It's set up for the big money to own everything and squash the little guy, you know?
Yep, I agree. I got to ask you this, though. You look like you're in awesome shape. Every time I see you, I'm like, he's in awesome shape. So in my head, big wrestling fan, just thinking, I'm like, is he retired? Can he wrestle? His last match was 2020 for AEW Bash of the Beach, obviously. But I'm just curious, are you retired? Can you wrestle? Because each time I look at you, you're in awesome shape. Are you in awesome shape for no reason? Is there a reason? Are you going to wrestle? Are you, or are you
yeah, you got to remember, I'm done wrestling. I would do a diamond cutter here and there. You got to remember, I'm going to be 67 in 2 more weeks.
Wow, it's hard to believe. Oh my God.
You know, well, that's, first of all, I do DDP yoga 6 days a week. Like, the shit's real. Why do you think Jericho is still being able to go out there at 52 or 53 and do what he's doing? I mean, there's AJ Styles. How do you think he's able to do it? Because it's not the only reason, but it's a big reason why the guys are still mobile and flexible and can do stuff that they could, you know, that they normally, you know, guys wouldn't be able to do. I could still go out and do it, but it wouldn't be worth it to me because, you know, I'm still a Ferrari, going to be 67, but I got 998,000 miles on me, you know, and every time you get in that ring, you take another bump. You know, one of the reasons why I look muscular as I am right now is because I'm wearing these things. They're called power cuffs, and they're not even out yet. And it's all about blood flow restriction. They'll be out probably in another month, but I've been working with these things. And what they do, think of a tourniquet style. And say your bicep, it just goes around like these are just there. They won't slide up and down. But when I power up the power cuffs, they get tighter and tighter and tighter. And you don't want them too tight. And you can always take it back a notch, take it back a notch. I mean, I literally just got done lifting and DDPY. When I get done doing I start out with DDPY, go right to lifting 30 minutes. That's it. And then I finish with 30 more minutes of DDPY because that's what I know is going to help me continue to hold back the hands of time. I stopped lifting for 15 years because every time I lifted, every single time, it would be like, oh God, what did I do to my shoulder? Oh, my bicep. Oh, my back. Because you're trained to lift heavier and heavier and heavier weight. Well, then ego steps in. And it's tough to take the ego out of the gym. And there wasn't smart workouts with weights, you know, for guys really 45 and up. You know, really absolutely 50 and up, though, because you're going to hurt yourself. I have so many friends of mine torn their biceps, torn their triceps, torn their pec muscles. They're like a shark attack. They'd have so many tears of their muscle. I don't. But I also stopped lifting around 17 up. Yeah, so I was 51 or 52 when I stopped lifting completely and just DDPY and calisthenics. But what makes this so amazing, like when you power up and you're tightening up the power cuffs, you're creating blood flow restriction. And one of the ways you lift, the reason why you build muscle and can continue to build more and more muscle is because all the blood flow. You don't continue to build muscle without having the blood flow. So when you're doing 8 reps, where you're really growing is in the 7th and 8th rep that you push out, when you get through. With this, when you power up, you can't lift heavy. It's impossible. And what you do, it's based on 30 reps, 30 seconds off. 15 reps, 30 seconds off. 15 reps, 30 seconds off, 15 reps. So say I'm just doing curls like I did today. You do a total of 75 reps. Basically, it's one set. Then you pop them for a minute. You can't do another bicep curl, so you go over and do triceps. And I might do tricep pushdowns. I might do nose crunchers, kickbacks, whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same thing. 30, 15, 15, 15. But it's less than 4 minute set. In between that set, I take a minute because I'm changing my weights. But man, the pump that you get, like I filmed a lot of wrestlers so far that they come and they do what's called the DDP gauntlet right now. And it'll be something that'll come up in a month or so. You'll start to see it out there on my social media. But I interview them and then I take them through the workout. And these guys all lift heavy weight. But for this day, they don't. And I've got, oh God, I can't remember his name right now. God, I've got so many guys going, I'm never lifting heavy again. Because when I'm doing the curls, I'm doing 15 pounds. When I'm doing a tricep pushdown, I'm only doing 45 or 50 pounds. Because you can't do more than that. And if you build like from 30, 15, 15, 15, when you build the 30, 20, 20, 20, it's time to go up in weight. Because when I started doing the curls, I used 10 pounds, like 10 pounds, because 15 pounds was too heavy. Now I own 15 pounds. So on some days I'll start with 17 and a half pounds. But by that third set, I'm back down to 15 pounds. And it is amazing. Like look at that. I mean, it's like a rock. But I just got done working out. Tomorrow morning, I'll wake up and I do that. It's still like a rock. And I don't understand why that is. Because normally you'll be really loose when you're not lifting, unless you're lifting right then, you get the pump. And then over a period of time, you lose the pump. You don't lose it with this. So these power cuffs will be out probably, like I say, in about a month or so. One of the things that I of course, trademarked power cuffs, but I trademarked, we're changing the face of fitness. Like you got to see some of these guys who are in these 30s or who are guys who used to be 300 pounds and what they look like from the transition from DDP yoga to power cuffs with DDPY. So it's kind of like P90X, where P90X had 4 days a week of lifting weights and 2 days a week of yoga. And that was because that's the glue, and I will never stop doing DDPY because I will be crippled. Because, the reason why I can do, and here's a great example. We've been sitting here talking for 10 minutes. I can take either one of my feet, and I'm going to take this foot and put it in your face, and then I'm going to hold it, and I'm putting my hand here so you can see I'm not holding on to anything.
Yeah, amazing.
I can hold this thing for like a minute. That's core strength at a different level. Yeah. That's not the weights. That's DDPY. Yep. That's the youth, because flexibility is youth, not just in your body, but in your mind. You see, when I blew my back out when I was 42 years old, I broke my back. Technically, what I did is I blew out my L4 and L5 disc. So God gave us this incredible spine, right? Incredible, vertebrae. In between the vertebrae are discs, and they're like shock absorbers. It's why you can be running as a kid and fall. And if your mother goes, "Oh my God," you'll start crying. If your mother goes, "Oh, that was so funny," the kid will start laughing. Yep. Because you can fall down and get up and fall down and get up and fall down and get up. And as a wrestler, you can take all these bumps, but eventually you take that one too many and boom. And when I blew out my L4 and L5, I had 3 spine specialists tell me my career was over. Whoa. I just signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal. It can't be over. And, I went through a real depression for about a week or so, but then I turned it around, and it was Kimberly who was like, "You got to try yoga to heal your body." And I got to go, "Honey, I ain't ever doing fucking yoga." I was the poster boy, at 42 for the guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And now my name's attached to it. So figure that out. But in less than 3 months, I was back in the ring. And 42, they said my career's over. At 43, I'm freaking a heavyweight champion of the world. Like that, where is it at? That title right there. Where is it? There it is. That's the one. So no one can tell me shit when it comes to what's possible in my life. And it isn't just yoga, it's yoga, it's a fusion. I've got people taking it back, a diamond cutter, hulking it up. I make it fun. It's completely different. If anybody wants to check out DDP Yoga, just go to ddpyoga.com or ddpy.com and try it for 7 days on the app. You get it for free for 7 days. So let's talk some wrestling, man. What's up?
Yes. So who would be somebody, let's say, I know you're retired technically, but who would you want to face? Like who's somebody on your radar? Who's somebody out there that impresses you on the current roster? Because I know your boy, Cody Rhodes, is killing it. I went to a house show. I looked at the numbers last year versus this year. So they doubled in attendance when he announced he was a part of the show. Then when he's at the show, he's signing 1 million autographs at ringside, taking selfies and pictures of everybody. So, I mean, he's over like Rover. What do you think about Cody?
Man, I can't tell you how proud I am of him. When he was 12 years old, I kind of pulled him in and took him under my wing, and, without Dusty Rhodes, here's a picture of me in the American Dream in 1989.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
How cool is that shot, right? Dream was my boy. He was like my big brother. He was like my dad sometimes. He was my mentor. He was one of my closest friends. When he died, Cody called me and he said, listen, Dusty, he called him Dusty a lot. He called him Dad a lot too, but he would call him Dusty sometimes as well. He said, Dusty wanted you to know that he had 5 friends. And Dusty had already told me this numerous times, but to hear it from Cody, it was super special. He said, before he passed, he said, you tell Dallas he's one of the 5. And some guys have fallen off that list. Some earned it back to be on that list. He said, but Dallas never went off that list. So over our time together, getting to know Cody, in the beginning, I just started mentoring him because of what Dusty did for me. And at some point, Cody's such a cool kid, it became about me and him. And I'll never forget, and I got to give you this lead up, because for people to really know Cody Rhodes, you got to know who he was as a kid. And I was working out at Turnbuckle. Dusty had this little private company, wrestling company he was trying to take off. Today, it would blow up huge, But back then, timing, people weren't into it right then. It was the cyclical of wrestling. It was on a downturn. And Cody got out of the ring. He was doing something in there. And I always called him Young Buck back then, which is kind of crazy considering who he did a lot of amazing things with.
Yep.
But I was like, yo, Young Buck, when are you going to start playing football? Because I've gone to do 2 speeches for Dusty for the kids to, because I was Diamond Dallas Page,
Yep.
And he goes, I'm not going to play this year. I go, you're not going to play football? You love football. He goes, I still love football. He goes, but I really want to focus. I want to focus in on, the state championship. He goes, I don't expect to win it this year. I'm a sophomore. He said, but my junior year, I'm going to win it. I go, wow, that's a bold statement. And he said, yeah, you're right. And I said, it's going to take a lot of work. He goes, absolutely. So I'm in LA at the time because my tenure in WWE lasted maybe 6 months. I almost broke my neck, and I was just like, I'm out of here. And I went to Hollywood, and I talked to him over that period, and he went 48-0.
Wow.
And I had called him numerous times, but the last time I had called him, he was about 30-0. And I said to him, listen, Young Buck, if you get in the finals of the states, I'll be there. Because you're going to come back from LA? I said, yeah, I'll be there. I watched him go 48-0. The next year, he lost his, I think, 12th match. And I called him like nothing had happened. I knew what happened. But I called him like, hey, what's up, Young Buck? What are you doing? He's like, Dallas, I lost. I go, you lost? He goes, yeah, man, I lost. I go, thank God. And he said, what? Why would you say that? I said, Code, do you think you learn anything from winning? I said, bro, you learn from losing, falling down, making a mistake. That's how you learn. I said, did you learn anything from that loss? He goes, hell yeah. I said, well, you know what you have on your side right now? He thinks he beat you. He goes, but he did. I go, no, mentally. Is he going to beat you again if you ever face him again? He goes, no way. I said, he thinks he beat you, though. I said, would you rather met him when you were both 44-0 and he beat you then in the semifinals? Hell no. I go, tell me what what are you doing right now? By this time, it was the second time I talked to him. I asked him, I said, what are you doing different? And he goes, you know what I figured out? No one wants to get pinned by me. So they're not out there trying to win. They're just trying not to get pinned. And he goes, as soon as I figured that out, I take him down. And if I could see he's not being aggressive, just trying not to get pinned, I let him up. And then I take him down. And then I let him up. And then I take him down. I let him up and I take him down. And then by this time he's blown up. Now he's getting pinned.
Right.
I was there with my daughter, Brittany, sitting in the stands, and he's getting ready to face this kid who's 47-0 who beat him. And they allow 5 people to be on the floor that are family members. And before the match starts, Cody goes, Dad, get Dallas down here. And Grandpa had to move. And I sat down there with the family. And I watched Cody eat him alive. So this is a picture from that.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
wrestling champion. Yeah. Nice.
6'8" triple champion. Like, that's the huge schools. That's the big one. So when he said he was going to do what he was doing, and we did, he did the whole all-in thing, I would tell that story. I'm like, it's Cody. It took so much guts for him to walk away from the WWE because they only saw him here. They were never going to see him main eventing, never mind main eventing the biggest WrestleMania ever. They never saw it. But you know who did? He did. And he saw this the whole time. And when he was getting ready to make that move, you know, I just think that Tony Khan, and I like Tony Khan a lot. I think he's a good guy. I think he forgot who Cody was. And a lot of those fans did too. Because like WWE fans are loyal to WWE. Now there's some people who watch both. But AEW's got their fans and WWE's got their fans. And they got all the real fans. AEW's got a really group of solid, real wrestling fans. But like WCW had their fans, WWE had their fans.
Yep.
You know, like I said, some people cross back and forth, but those WWE fans, a lot of them grew up with him. You know, he's been in the business for 17 years now. So when he left and they saw what he did, getting him back would be like, you know, friggin' pick a guy, Babe Ruth, you know, friggin' Hank Aaron, any one of those guys who we got him back on our team. Awesome. And the way he came back, getting to work with a guy like Seth Rollins, who may be one of the best, I mean, everything now today, not just technical wrestler, because he's very much like Shawn Michaels was, who could do anything. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But now that Seth, I mean, I got to talk to him at the Rumble because I went there because I knew Cody was going to be in it. I knew there was a shot he could win it, you know, and I wanted to be there for that. I've always been there. As Cody always says, Dallas always shows up. Yeah. And most people don't, except for the big shit. I've been there for all of it. So I was talking to Seth, and I just, you know, watching what they were doing with him for that while where he was in like limbo, like, and finding this new character, which is so over. Like that character is so over. And he can flip the babyface or heel in a heartbeat, but he's really over as a babyface as well. Yes. Him, Cody, and Sammy, like they are the three most over baby faces, you know? I just think that watching Code come back, getting to work with the, you know, one of the most talented guy in the company, really, yes. Seth, and have those matches. And on the third match, when he tore his pec, you know, right off the bone, and when he took his jacket off, you could feel like a whoa. Yeah, like people knew what the fuck happened to him. And then to see him actually wrestle like that and get Seth to put him out after that on the Monday, because he had to be in so much pain. But he ain't ever going to sell it unless he wants to sell it. So to have watched this, and then it's a 9-month journey back, minimum 9 months to a year on a pec tear. He did it in 7. Why? Because he's got to be there for the Rumble. He has got to be there. And he worked so hard. You know what he used? Friggin' blood flow restriction straps. That's what he used. And lifted lightweight. Now he uses power cuffs because I didn't have them ready yet. And now that's what he used. He's like, the other one sucked, you know, but the concept was still the same. but they sucked and were awkward and uncomfortable to use. When he put these on, and I put Nightmare Factory on his, they got the Cody logo on him, not Nightmare Factory, but the Nightmare logo. So, dude, man, I wasn't even going to go to WrestleMania this year because I'm not a big LA fan. I lived there for 10 years. I have no desire to go back. But and I'm speaking in Cincinnati, a huge conference I'm speaking at, and I get paid ridiculous money to do inspirational speaking. I called, mind and body wellness with DDP. And I explain to people, inspire them, I make them laugh. It's a really good presentation, but it ends with, you can either take care of your mind and body wellness, or you'll be forced to take care of your mind and body illness. Because that's what most people do. They wait and then, oh God, I wish I would have changed earlier. Okay, all right, whatever. See, I'm always ahead of the next curve of what's the best. My whole house, it's a wellness spa. I've got infrared saunas, hyperbaric chambers, steam room, cold plunge, hot tub, and then machines that take away spasms where your muscles spasm up that no one has but doctors. And it's all under one roof here. So when anybody gets hurt, a lot of the guys, Darby came here, he couldn't even walk. By the end of it, I have a video of him running around, and I'm talking about one session. And normally it's not like that. It takes more. But Darby's, he's almost indestructible, but he's here all the time, Darby Allin. So back to Code. I'm so proud of him, man. He is, he should be going over. The way everything is going, you never know. You never know. And I've been there. I've been in that spot where, you're going to be the you're going to be the world champ, but that could change as you're walking to Gorilla. They can change it right before you walk out. So you never focus on that. You focus on the journey. You focus on what got you here and enjoying the moment. And getting hurt was really the best thing because he's never been hurt. Jericho was hurt once when he blew his back out. And that's where I helped him come back with DDP yoga. There's a reason why that guy can do all the crazy shit he can still do at 53. And he sent me a text a couple of weeks ago, and it was the 10 guys who used DDP yoga. And it was everybody from Kane to AJ to a bunch of them. But of course, Jericho was one of them. And I said, dude, that I can have the littlest piece of your journey to be a part of, that I've helped you, means the world to me. And he wrote back, no, D, you were a large part of the reason why I'm still doing this shit, which is super cool because I just got a ton of respect for him too. But just to see Cody in this spot, coming back to LA. Now, when I went back for both his state championships, I flew from LA into Atlanta. Now, technically, I would be leaving Atlanta and flying into LA, but I'm going through by way of Cincinnati to do that corporate speech I'm doing. And then I'm actually going to fly out at 7 a.m. because one of my other boys is Bronson Steiner, or Braun Breaker, as he's known in NXT. And I got to go there and see his match as well. I'm buddies with, all the Steiners and all their kids, Bronson, Maverick, Hudson on Rick's side, and Brock and Brandon on Scott's side. Brandon was just here the other day. using power cups with me, training with me. He just signed to play. He's the #1 point guard, all-state point guard out of Georgia. And what a stud. What a great kid. Scotty and Rick as dads have been phenomenal. They have great moms, as they give all the credit to the mother.
Yes.
But those boys, they've got, I mean, the class of the field. I've never had, and Bronson's been here a number of times. So is Maverick and Brock, and Hudson's only been here once, but Brock and Brandon, a number of times they come and they work out with me. And, of course, Rick and Scott really, like, man, thank you so much for doing that. Dude, I love them. I love their energy. I love they have an insane work ethic, these kids. So second generation wrestlers. And, Cody's almost like third because Dustin, and then Cody came later. I mean, he is so appreciative of where he's at and what he's doing. And he's very much like the way my character was. I was super gracious to the fans. He's always been like that. And in AEW, it really bothered me that the fans turned on him when there's no Darby Allin without Cody Rhodes. He brought him in. His first match, he did a 20-minute Broadway. No one knew who he was. He could have just easily beat him and got the kid over at 20 minutes, but he didn't do that. He got MJF over in the beginning, big time, and he helped Sammy Guevara, who is, Jericho had a lot to do with that too. But the match that Cody gave him, he didn't have to do that. But he did, because that's who he is. And that's why I was really disappointed in a lot of the AEW fans, because why are you booing this guy? It doesn't make any sense. It was the best thing. It was the best thing that ever happened to him, though. I always tell people, when something looks like it's the worst thing to happen, it really can turn out to be the best. And that happened to me my entire career. And the biggest thing looked like the worst thing. I blow my back out, break my back, and I'm told I'm never going to wrestle again by 3 spine specialists. Yet I do get back in the ring because of DDP yoga, but it wasn't called DDP yoga then. I'd helped so many people along the way that me blowing my back out was the best thing that ever happened to me and hundreds of thousands of people. So, you don't ever get focused on the things that are negative that are happening in your life, because you can make them the most positive.
For sure. And it's funny with Dusty and Cody. I did Dusty's last ever interview back in 2015. I actually still have his phone message because we went back a bunch. So I still, from 8 years ago, I saved it through a phone. So I still have it. 2 days before he passed, I interviewed him. I was shocked that he passed because he sounded so good in the phone, and he was joking around like, he makes everybody, feel like you're his buddy. So Johnny, not John, Johnny, this and that. He goes, when are we doing it again? He's like, when are you bringing me that big bag of money? Like, just joking around and being awesome. So
right. Oh, so God.
I love Dusty. I always loved Dustin. So Cody, just by proxy, I mean, I gotta love him just because of Dustin. It was just amazing.
Right.
Bittersweet, though, last interview, because I want to do a million more interviews with him. He was so cool.
Yeah, dude, I would call him, right? And he would eventually, he'd just get sidetracked. And sometimes I'd call him and go, Dream, are you going to call me back or what? And that's when he'd call it. He'd leave a message. Dennis, I've been calling you for weeks. How come you have not called me back? I'm telling you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted right now. I gotta go. He just fuck with you. He would just fuck with you, man. Oh God, I tell you my favorite Dusty story ever, and it changed my life. Dusty changed my life many times, but in 1994, I think it was four. Yeah, I think it was November of '94. We were talking, and I could vent to him when he was booking you could only get pieces of his time. But Bischoff had sent him out the pasture, because he wanted to book, with, Sullivan or whoever it was at the time.
Yep.
And Dusty was out the pasture, but they never stopped paying him because, they didn't want him to go to WWF.
Right.
Yep. So Eric used Dusty more of a consulary back then, So he had time and he was bored. So anytime I called him, he'd always call me right back then. And I can remember just bitching up a storm at one point. In 94, I really felt like I had some of the tools. I didn't have everything I needed, but I wasn't looking for fucking any world titles. I just was looking to have that early Jake Roberts, Rick Rude spot. The ones, if Jake walked out there or Rick walked out there, you did not know who was going to win. I don't mean together. I'm talking about whoever they went against. You never knew what was going to happen because of those two guys. And that's the element of doubt. That's all I ever really wanted to try to achieve that, with wrestling, because I didn't think I'd get more than that. Then I'd go back to being a color commentator. But one night I was bitching up a storm and Dusty just let me vent until I said, Dream, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I know I'm never going to be the world champion, but these motherfuckers, Dareth, what did you just say? Now I feel kind of stupid, right? I go, Well, Dusty, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick. No, D, what did you say after that? I said, well, I'm never going to be the world champion. He said, then what the fuck are you doing it for? Dareth, you piss me off sometimes. As hard as you work, you've accomplished so much more than anybody ever believed before. Dareth, if you don't believe it, if you don't believe that you could be the world champion, you need to get the fuck out of our business right now. And Johnny, I felt like he reached in the phone and just bitch slapped me.
Right, yeah.
And he kept talking. And I can't tell you a thing he said after that, but I know exactly what I did. And next to the phone, there was a ledger pad. It's just freaking 90s. There's, no cell phones yet. So you leave messages for people. So I grabbed that pad. And while he was talking, I wrote down, I will be the champion in 5 years or less. And it was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days. I stepped in the ring with Rick and Hulk and Sting. Now, I've told that story on Cameo to different Cameo people about just inspirational behind-the-scenes stories. And one day when I'm telling that story on Cameo, maybe the 35th time, who knows, I realized, holy shit. 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days earlier, I told Dusty, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. Yet that night, I step in the ring, April 11th, 1999, with Rick and Hulk, and Dusty's retired. The franchise, Sting.
Yep.
And Rick takes the diamond cutter in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Savage, who made me, hands me the world title. Like, I manifested that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I can't believe that. And I never realized that until I told the story probably the 30th time, and I was like, wow, I've manifested so many things into reality. It's really mind-boggling, just like Cody has. Like, I know Cody sees himself walking out of there with that Universal title. He won't tell anybody, including me. He won't tell anybody that. But in his mind, that's what's happening. And either way, it's the greatest spot ever. But to me, God, Roman's been the man. And I'll tell you what, Roman Reigns, like, I was so pissed off because if you listen to an interview I did with Bill Apter, I put Roman and Jericho over huge. And I give the nod to Jericho only because of his age and his, like, people saying, like, I called him the new Ric Flair, but they say I'm calling Chris the new Ric Flair. I said of this generation. Like, Ric Flair is still the guy to me. Like, he's the guy. If you're going to ask me who's the best ever, who's the man, who's the greatest of all time, all the way around, it's Ric Flair.
Yep.
From longevity to everything. I mean, it's Ric Flair. But look at Chris Jericho's 30-year career. Holy shit. And he's been on tippity top for over 20 years. Another guy who would leave and prove everybody wrong. Sell out the Tokyo Dome. Put on an unbelievable match with him and Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? Like, Jericho, you want to talk about manifested dreams into reality. Who the fuck has ever been the guy in professional wrestling, top 5, no matter Did I lose you?
Yep, back.
Okay. I said, who is the guy who's also a rock star?
Yes.
And a podcast king. He's like, he's the voice of the dark side of wrestling. Like, what the fuck is it? I wanted him to be involved with Power Cups because I thought he'd really love him. And he said, send me some stuff on it, D, because I have so many things going. And then he ran his schedule by me, just like off the top of my head. He ran off what he's doing in the next 2 months. I realized I don't have he has no time for anything because he's doing so much stuff. And I didn't even want to bother him about it after that.
Too busy. Yeah, he's too busy.
He's busy at a different level. It's like The Rock. Him and Jericho are the two busiest guys on the planet.
Yep. So as we head towards the wind down here, we head towards the finish. I got to know, what is your favorite diamond cutter of all time? Because I always see you posting compilations, and they're awesome. Like Mark Starr, remember a Nitro or whatever, it was like out of nowhere. Eddie Guerrero, the one where you flip him and get him is awesome. The one you nail on Savage, where Savage is laid out. I mean, there's so many good ones.
Yeah, there really is. My favorite would be on Savage because the obvious. Excuse me, Savage and Flair, because Flair put me over to be the world fucking champ. Randy made it in the same pay-per-view, and they all happened around my birthday. But the most amazing diamond cutter I have to give to Eddie, and Eddie came up with that. It was like, oh my God, like. I lost my mind after that. But there's another one, like Benoit. Like, we went to I went to go for a cutter, and he spun it into a backslide, and then I pulled him, and he rolled over me.
Yes.
Boom, and I caught him. I mean, Benoit was one of the best, and I'll always really, really love Benoit because he wasn't that guy that killed his wife. He was mentally disturbed, obviously. And Chris, what's his name? Who does his last name? The wrestler who's now the brain from Harvard.
Nowinski.
What a great guy, and really helping a lot of people with concussions. He said that Benoit, I gave him my brain too, and it'll be really interesting to see. My wife's going to do a whole follow-up on it if she's still alive and I pass, because so many things I do for my brain,
right.
So many things: oxygen, hyperbaric chambers, NAD, which is a thing you take like an IV that defogs your brain. I do so many things, but poor Chris had the brain of an 87-year-old Alzheimer patient. So
Yeah,
it wasn't that guy. So I love that one too. So I got to blow to
there's some
another.
awesome ones.
Yeah, I got to blow to another podcast I have to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Give us
I
all the
want
plugs
to.
before you go.
I want to do this again. All right, because
Okay.
went on so many different roles about Bam Bam and me, and so many things. I'm sure you got a million more questions. Right now, just anybody wants to know what I'm doing, with DDP Yoga, go to ddpyoga.com. Get 7 days on the app. It costs you nothing, to try it. So, you get in it. If you really are trying to just not own your life, but, I should not just change your life, but own your life. The first thing that comes up on that app's the list. Do everything on the list. It's one of the most, it'll reboot your brain. It'll change your viewpoint. That's why I have so many transformations, because I give people like, okay, do this. If you do this first, you'll be able to do that, or whatever that thing is that you're trying to do. And I always tell people, don't listen to a word I say about my stuff. Just go to DDP Yoga, one word, on Facebook. It's a members only Facebook. You gotta, like it, and they'll eventually accept you. There's over 77,000 people there.
Nice.
I mean, it's the most comprehensive. I mean, I've never seen a place where people are all helping people, and that's what I'm all about, is people helping people. Check out Resurrection of Jake the Snake on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen it, and our documentary Relentless. Both of them up there. So, and if you go to Diamond Dallas Page Athlete on Facebook, man, I'm putting shit up there all the time. Yeah, I made it a destination for people to come to. And God, in the last year, we've gone from 600,000 people following us to 1.2 million.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Well, listen, Jersey boy, get with Marlon. Let's do it again in a month or so.
Okay.
And do you lift weights?
A little bit. I'm trying to get back into it because I actually hurt my back really bad, so I'm trying to get back into it.
So let's do this. Get with Marlon. Tell him, just give him your number. He'll give it to me. I'll get back to you, and let's get you on DDP Yoga.
Okay.
Let's get you on the power cuffs, and I'll give you a routine to do. And let's go. Let's talk in a month, and then we'll talk in 3 months.
Okay.
But I'm only doing this if you're all in.
I'm all in, baby. Just like DDP,
all right.
I'm all in. Yes.
All right, then let's. I'm going to take extra special care of my Jersey brothers. So, especially from Asbury Park, of all places.
Yeah.
I just had a buddy of mine named Alex who wrote for the Jersey, for the Asbury Park Press for years.
Love that.
And he just let me know that he was going to another magazine. What a great guy. And he was thanking me for all the things he did for me. I mean, I was like, dude, please, I got your email. I saved it. You got my number. Stay in touch with me. He's a great guy. Anything that I was doing, he was always right there to put it out there. And he was a super class guy. So Asbury Park is always be a very special place for me. So get with Marlon on it. Let him know.
Yes.
And I'll hit you back. Let's just do it like he'll give him your number, he'll give it to me, I'll hit you, and then we'll say let's talk after Mania. Okay,
perfect. Sounds great, man.
Thank you so much. See you, Bo. Bang.
Thank you.
See you.